Welcome to another Tracking Trends Thursday with Kristen Mason Coreas. Today is Thursday, November 20th, and anecdotally, I'll tell you what is happening on the front lines of real estate. I'd like to share that every once in a while. Is this past weekend, Homestead Mason had three, not one, not two, but three buyers who either surfaced or resurfaced. There were two of them had paused their search and came back, and the other one was a new client to us who we are working with. And actually, we ratified two contracts. One fell through on home inspection. They did have a home inspection contingency. Unfortunately, that they backed out on that. So they'll keep looking. The other one is really excited about one of the homes that they're going to see tomorrow and might be writing an offer. So usually I don't see this much activity this time of year, but what my experience is, what my speculation is that this is activity we probably would have seen in the past 2 months, but got paused and delayed because of the government shutdown. So I don't necessarily think that we lost buyers. We just had buyers delay, and that's why we're having a little more activity now this time of year than we normally would. And I'm optimistic about the next year, frankly. So that's what's happening anecdotally on the ground. Let's share with you the data. So current interest rate, I think it went up. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of movement, went up just a tiny bit. We'll look at that. So the stability that we're seeing in interest rates is a good sign, and sign for a healthy market when people feel like they know what to expect. That provides predictability and more confidence and certainty in the market. So we're at 6.26, which is up just 0.02 from the week before and down half a point from last year. So relatively low from where we've been. And that is where we are living these days and tend to live. Not a bad place to be living with interest rates right now. In national economic news, the government shutdown is over, and this top chart actually is what we had last week. So expectation that inflation will show that it's gone up, not a ton, but just a touch, and we're still waiting on the official reports to come out now that people are back to work in the government. And regarding listings, 42% of listings saw price cuts this fall. That's significant. And also coming off the market, delistings jumped because a lot of sellers decided to come off the market instead of marking their home down. We have a client like that ourselves. We have a seller who did not want to drop their price, and so they came off the market, and we are banking that the market is going to be better in the new year for sellers, especially. Right now, it's a relatively favorable time for buyers, and sellers who don't have to sell generally won't sell at this time next year. And in the mid-Atlantic region, contracts were up by, 2.6% in the mid-Atlantic region, higher than last year. And so that is probably related to increased inventory. I don't know that we're seeing increased buyer activity, but that increased inventory allows more options, allows more people to buy homes. In the past, buyers weren't able to find what they wanted. They weren't able to write contracts because there wasn't enough inventory. So that increase in contracts does not worry me. And in my opinion, it is a reflection of a healthy market. Price growth is slowing. It is 1.3% greater than the same week last year. So it is still up, but up by smaller margins than the year before. And in the Washington, D.C. area, median list prices actually were down year over year. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. And showings are slightly higher than the year before. We're seeing buyers come off the sidelines as mortgage rates have come down and price growth has slowed. I think I said it before. I will say it again. Generally a good time to be a buyer right now. Almost every year at this time, I say if you're looking for a bargain, if you want to go bargain house hunting, come on out, give us a call. Now is a good time to do that. So in the larger DC metro area, showings are down year over year by 1.2%, but up week over week, 3.5%. So that increase week over week is a bit of a surprise, except for Again, that's what I said earlier, that delay, right? So those are numbers that probably would have happened in the past 2 weeks, but it just got shifted to now. Purchase contracts are also up week over week by almost the same amount, 3.1%, and basically flat year over year. Median time to contract, longer by 5 days compared to last year and longer by 2 days compared to last week, 37 days. That feels like a lot. The seller's floor went $5,000 to choose our offer. So if you want to know how we did that, let me know. And I'll talk about that another time, or we can talk about it one-on-one. So more listings are down, and that's relatively new, down 15% from last week. That's significant, and down 1.2% from last year. While more listings are down, active inventory is still up compared to last year by 34% and down a touch from last week, 1.6%. And then that brings us to the hyperlocal market, which is Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, and Falls Church. We at Homes by Mason run the data ourselves for those areas. That's where we do most of our business. We keep a close eye on that area. And compared to last week, we are down a little bit in listings and contracts, but not a ton. And we are lower than average, and that's normal this time of year to be lower than average in terms of new listings and new contracts. So the change in supply week over week, that blue bar is down. There were, and this tracks with the other data that we just looked at, a few more contracts written week over week than previously. So again, that delay in buyer activity is what I think is showing up in the data. So then we look at year over year. So as I think I mentioned earlier, so both supply and demand are up or flat year over year. Now, the interesting number that we've started to look at more recently is this demand to supply ratio. So for most of the year, we've been at healthy numbers like 70s in the 70 percentile and the 80 percentile. But right now, 2025, we're at 101.05%. In 2024, we were at 110%. What that means is that there were more contracts written than new listings that came on the market. So then that shrinks. When that happens, it shrinks that active inventory. This time of year, the only, I guess, surprise with that information is that there are more buyers this year at this time of year than we normally would experience. And I think it's the buyers we would have seen in October, November if there weren't a government shutdown. So again, to me, the market feels relatively stable, relatively healthy. Days on market is at, I think it's 37 right now in our hyperlocal area. Let me see if I can pull that. I've got that number up here just to confirm, because again, number sounds so high. It's 36. So a little bit of breathing room for buyers. But as you saw, as I mentioned, two of our buyers who wrote contracts this past weekend, we were trying to get their offers in before anybody else did, but by the time we did get their offers in both cases, it was like Monday or Tuesday. In both cases, other people had also gotten offers in. So always I'm going to advise you, the sooner the better. Get your offers in. I'd rather you not be competing than competing, because when you compete, price goes up. That is what happened. Both of those homes we ratified did go above asking price due to competition. The blue line here is interest rate. So you can see it has come down somewhat slowly since we started looking at it. And so there you go. The theme today was it's a relatively good time to be a buyer, and the market feels relatively healthy. So anytime you want to talk more about what is happening in the market and how this information in the trends impact you and your decisions, please reach out. I love having these conversations and happy to help you with your decisions. They're not our decisions, they're ours. We're going to give you information and share your experiences so that you can make those decisions for yourself. Call me, text me at 210-1866. That number is right down here. You can email me at Kristen@homesbymason.com. Down below you should find a link if you want to schedule that on my calendar. And I think that is it. Oh, I guess give me a like if you find this information helpful or valuable, if you can, depending upon where you're watching this. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend. I'll see you next week is Thanksgiving. So I may come on. You guys, I mean, I think I can probably do it or do it Friday morning. We'll see. But I don't have big Thanksgiving plans. I'll be back up in Massachusetts visiting my family up there, but we have a mild Thanksgiving day. So I think you'll find me here next week again. And I hope you enjoy some time with family.